we have a touchscreen on the wall in each booth, a portable touchscreen that currently is located on the desk in each booth, and then one touchscreen that is in a stage manager's panel backstage. The portable touchscreen is using a Ethernet connection to plug in. You can move this around. If you set a tech table up in the house, you could have it there so that the lightboard operator can have it next to them to utilize how they need. If you wanted to plug it in stage right for a standalone performance as opposed to the stage manager panel, which is stage left, you can do that as well. I'll point out the ports that it will go to. It will be any one of them that is labeled ETC net. That is not necessarily, that's not a network protocol. It's just indicating that that goes to the ETC network, as opposed to the building network, as opposed to the sound network. So on the touchscreen right now there is no passcode, but there is just a splash screen. Says what space you're in. We are in the theater. Push to enter. And on your home screen, you have quick access to the 4 house light presets. You have a house on, which is everything at about 80%. Class actually has everything at full. House half is everything at 40%. And then show is everything at 0 with some egress lighting. And then house off is all of the house off. Under the presets tab, you still have those same 5 house light functions there. You also have 9 recordable presets for the stage lights. We'll get into how to record those. You have a record button up here in the top right that allows you to record over those. If there are a couple that we want to set and lock out, we can do that. That is something that I have to do, and that is something that is as easy as, if we find today or in 6 months or a year, hey, we always use stage 1. Can we lock that out? Can we even call it band or performance or something? That's as easy as me grabbing the file, opening it, locking it, and changing the label, and re-uploading it. It doesn't take any time at all, so I don't want that to sound like that's a...
Can that be done remotely?
It can, yeah.
Okay.
You can just... I'll show you how to extract the file and email it to me, and then give me a day, and I'll get it back. So, on any of these tabs, we have a home screen in the top left. To get back to this, under your work light tab, the one point of confusion here, right now, I tested this very thoroughly, and everything I found is that seemingly right now you either don't have any work lights plugged in. I can't tell if they're just outlets that Mark always had things plugged into, and now nothing's plugged into them. That's my assumption, because I remember throughout the years of being here that we had functioning work light buttons, but there's nothing plugged into any of them. So right now, temporarily, I had to go and just make it so that everything turns on with an all-on button. You have sconce fixtures up in the catwalks and the tension grid. Those turn on, but that's besides one work light circuit up in the tension grid for 2 aggressively cool white screw-in bulbs that are sitting up in the tension grid. There's no other work lights. So that will come into play later when we walk around, because one of the things that was asked was that each of the work light buttons turns on to work lights in different zones. Well, there's no work lights in those zones. And I went through with ATEC, and we don't see anything. They didn't install a new work light. This was all existing, but if it's...
You talking about the big square LEDs that are like on the walls?
Yeah. Those work. Those are... But there was talk of there were work lights supposed to be on the electrics and on the wings that it was... I turned everything on that we have control over, and no we had nothing on it. So
Hmm.
We'll address that separately.
yeah, I just wanted to point that out. You have a bunch of these work
Yeah,
light
thank you.
buttons, and that was a discovery to me as well.
So at some point we'll have control over all of them.
Yeah. So right now, every work light button is going to do the same function. That is supposed to be different, but instead of you turning on a light that's not there, I went ahead and made sure that you at least have functionality. So on the work light tab, again, you have 8 work light circuits, and right now, work light 7 is the wall sconces up there, the big square LEDs on the wall. I would probably just be hitting the all on and all off button in the current state. Under house control, you have 10 sliders for individual house light control. Do I anticipate you ever really utilizing this page and these sliders? No. However, the functionality is there to control those individually. I would imagine most times you're just going to use the presets that are there. Under the admin page, and again, this is one that I anticipate being behind a lock, you have a button for station lockout. When that button is red, it changes to saying station's locked. If I were to go into any of these vestibules and push any of the button stations, those stations are now locked out. This is on there is a timed event every day to release this function, so if you have a performance, and the time is currently set to 2 a.m., that's my safe time because I know a high school probably isn't doing anything past 2 a.m. I would really hope not, but I was also a high school theater student, and I know that, you might have something at midnight or 1. People are leaving the building. At that point, all power to everything is turned off. Lights are turned off. So if you forgot to walked out and forgot to turn off the lights, don't worry. They'll turn themselves off at 2 a.m. And the stations will unlock so that the next morning someone comes in, wants to turn on the lights, they don't have to get up here and go, oh, I don't have the code. So that will also change the console control button back to screen control and input button station control. It will also make sure to disable the record function if that was left enabled for those presets that were there. That record disabled button, if I enable that, our presets, we have that record button. And disable it, takes that record button away. And again, every night that record button will go away. That way, if you forgot to disable it, it isn't there for the next person to come in and record over everything. And then the last button we have is help. This has ETC's number. Again, they have a 24-hour support line after 6 o'clock our time. It goes to a on-call service. You should get a call back in 15 minutes from the technicians on call. They are wonderful. They are someone who I end up calling anytime you have a silly question. You might just, they are a excellent resource because they're the best in our industry for service. So if you are sitting here on a Saturday morning trying to record a show and you can't remember how to record a cue, or the cue you recorded isn't doing what you expected, you could call them and they would say, oh, well, you need to do it this way. Or they might even go, oh, that's weird. Can you please send us a file? We'll see if there's anything that's acting abnormally. Below that, we also have our contact information. That's our office number and our service email, and then your job number. That is for either us or ETC to reference, so that way we can pull up drawings, get the configurations, anything like that. Any questions over this touchscreen. All right.
Is that lockout the same setting in the auditorium?
Yes.
2 a.m. and everything?
Yeah.
Okay.
So right here we have our first outside